friends, this is RG Steroids. Welcome to my channel. I'm gonna make this video as short as possible and give you an overall impression about IP address. We all know that this is the age of internet and the one who controls it may control the world. But do you ever wondered how the internet works, or do you wondered how we are getting connected to internet, or at least did you ever think about how the things we search in the internet are sent back to us? So in today's video we are gonna learn about the most basic and fundamental part of internet, that is IP address, which we have never cared about, but trust me, everyone should know about IP. And after this video your view about internet may change. And at the end of the video we are gonna see what happens if someone knows our IP address and how to prevent that from happening. So watch it till the end. IP address and its uses. IP. So what is an IP? IP stands for Internet Protocol. It is a set of rules which makes the internet work. So what is an IP address? IP address is the logical address of a computer. In other words, it is an address given to a system or a website by the internet, making it easy for others to communicate with it. Let me put it in a more simple way to understand. For example, let's consider we are gonna buy this phone in Amazon. So once we click this buy now option, it will take us to this page which will be asking a delivery address, that is our house address. So without the house address we can't proceed our purchase and our purchase will be dropped. So why is that? That's because without a delivery address Amazon don't know where to deliver these items. So that is the same thing with our IP address. Our IP address is the address of a computer. So without a IP address we can't do anything in the internet. When we send a message or search for a website, our IP address get attached to our request. So when a person or website gets our request, they respond back to us with the help of our IP address. Without an IP address, they don't know where to respond back and our request will be dropped. These IP addresses are provided to us by our internet service provider. So who are the internet service provider? They are the person or a company who provides us internet. Versions of IP address. IP address consists of 6 versions from version 1 to 6. But the version 1, 2 and 3 are not in use anymore. So we are gonna see about IP version 4 and IP version 6. Now you may wonder, so what happened to the IP version 5? It is broken or it is a failure model? No, IP version 5 is an internet stream protocol. That is, it is a family of experimental purpose protocol which is not for the use of public. So we are currently using IP version 4 and 6. Let's see about that. IP version 4 is a 32-bit long address. It is represented by 4 numbers separated by dots. It will be something like this: 198.162.1.2. Each number may vary from 0 to 255. Each number is 8-bit long when converted into binary form. That is, when 0 is converted into binary form, it will be 8 zeros, or when 255 is converted into binary form, it will be 8 ones. So why do we convert into a binary form? Because computer and system only understand machine language, which is of binary form. So IP version 4 provides 2 to the power of 32 number of IP address. IP version 6. This is a 128-bit long address. Now you may wonder, if IP version 4 is providing us 2 to the power of 32 number of IP address, why do we want to use an IP version 6? That is because the number of internet users keep on increasing day by day, and there is a possibility of exertion of IPv4. So we are using an IPv6. It is a 128-bit long address. It will be something like this. For writing an IP address, there are some rules and regulations to be followed. Let me tell about that in the next video. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for future notification. So IP version 6 provides 2 to the power of 128 numbers of IP address. Each system or device which connects to the internet may have two types of IP address. One is IP version 6 and the other is IP version 4. You may again ask a question. Why does a computer need two addresses? Let me explain this. Most of the devices or software or some hardware component or some website may still not support IP version 6. To be in the safer side, the internet service provider are providing these IP version 6 and IP version 4 IP address to all their users. Types of IP address. A friend of mine asked me a question. Do IP address keep on changing? And I believe that most of you may have the same question. Let me explain it here. IP address is of two types. One is static IP and another is dynamic IP. So static IP, these type of IP address won't change unless or until we ask our internet service provider to provide us with another IP address. It is used by companies or website or servers etc. So why do they use static IP address? Because a company or a website or a server, if they keep on changing their IP address, the client may find it more difficult to find them. Next is dynamic IP address. This type of IP address will change from time to time. It is used for personal uses. Example, a mobile phone network or a Wi-Fi or a broadband in our house. In a Wi-Fi or a broadband connection, it will change after some day. Sometime it may have the same IP address even for 2 to 3 months. It's because we wouldn't have turned off our router. So it is best to turn off our router when we are not using internet. Now let me teach you how to find your IP address in both your system and in a phone. For a system, go to the settings and open the internet and network. And in the status page, we can see an option called View Your Network Property. Click that. There will be some 2 to 3 options. So to know exactly what we are using, just look at the name and status. The name will be some Wi-Fi or a broadband and the status will be operational. Here they would have given all the details like a DHCP server or a IP address or a gateway, a DNS server, domain name, network name, etc. So to find the IP address in your phone, it's even more simple. Just go to the settings and open your about phone. In the about phone, there will be a option called status. Inside the status, we will have the IP address. Simple, right? Now for the tips and tricks. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, what happens if someone get our IP address? They can find our location and they can find what type of device we are using, and with our IP address they can act as us in the internet. So just imagine when a hacker uses your IP address to steal some secret informational document from a government agency. So what's happened next? This IP address will point out to you and that will be a big problem. So what should we do to avoid this? First, we can use a dynamic IP address. Second, we should use a strong password to protect our device. Third, we can use a VPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. It acts as a proxy and hides our original IP address to the internet and gets the information or the search result we are searching for with some other IP address.